Hello and welcome to Chargers Talk 4630. I'm Stacey, and I got a few things I want to unpack with you today. But before I get started, I want to ask if you can like, share, and subscribe to continue to get our content. And don't forget, in your spare time, check out my website, which has a lot of Chargers content I think you'll really like. All right, before we get into this schedule conversation again, they're still trending in the media. I want to address what's floating around in the rumor mill right now because I keep having people hit me up telling me, you know, the Chargers are about to trade for A.J. Brown. Now, listen, I don't pay attention to a lot of rumors unless it's coming from a credible source. A lot of people read something online and immediately run with it like it's already done. But at the same time, I also understand where there's smoke, there's some fire. Now, I'm aware there's been talk about possible interest between the Chargers and A.J. Brown. And from what I'm seeing, a lot of this started because of a Sports Illustrated report that was saying a private jet owned by the Chargers was spotted in Philadelphia. And now people are putting two and two together and trying to turn into a blockbuster trade situation. But me personally, I just don't see it. Not with the way this roster is built right now. I honestly believe the Chargers front office is confident in the young receivers that they're developing right now. So I think instead of overspending on another expensive veteran receiver, they want to continue building around the young talent they drafted and invested in already, right? You got Quentin Johnston entering year 4 of his rookie deal, and they already picked up his 5th-year option, which tells you the organization still believes in him and plans on keeping him around through at least 2027. You got Lat McConkey is only in year 3 of his fully guaranteed rookie contract, right? And already looks like one of Justin Herbert's favorite targets. Trey Harris, and I've said this before, I really like Trey Harris. I think his role should expand this year because I honestly felt like some of his talent got wasted in Greg Roman's system, right? He's too talented, and we still haven't seen half the playmaker I think he can be. And then you got Brennan Thompson. I believe Mike McDaniel will find a way to use that speed. You just have to, right? When somebody runs a 4-2, you got to figure out ways to get him involved somewhere. Now, yes, the Chargers do have around $45 million in cap space if they wanted to make a move for a big-time veteran receiver. But honestly, I like the receiving group we got. Every single one of them brings a different skill set to the table. And I don't want to see a guy like Trey Harris sitting another season behind an older veteran when the only way these younger receivers truly is going to develop is by getting real reps in real games. Now, if the Chargers somehow do make a move for A.J. Brown, trust me, I'll support it like I support every player that puts on that boat uniform. I'll root for him hard. But do I think Justin Herbert needs A.J. Brown to have an explosive offense? No, I don't. I think the talent already inside that building is enough. And let's be honest, this wouldn't even be an easy trade for anybody anyway. The Eagles reportedly have a steep asking price, right? And this contract situation makes things very complicated from a salary cap standpoint. I even read a report from Adam Schefter saying if a trade were to happen, it'd probably be more likely after June 1st because that gives Philadelphia some cap relief. But until something real actually happens, A.J. Brown is still an Eagle. So right now, I want no parts of the rumor. Now, let's pivot back to this schedule conversation because people in the media are still talking about it. I talked about it on the last podcast, but there's still people out there saying this schedule is going to stop the Chargers from making a deep playoff run. So I'm going to address it one more time. Well, maybe one more time for now because I got a feeling until we survive that 7-game stretch after week 2, people ain't going to let it go. But I want to talk about whether this schedule really impacts this season the way people think it does. Everybody looking at the schedule. Everybody talking about the 7-game stretch. Everybody talking about 4 straight teams coming off a bye week, and I get it. Everybody's saying the NFL screwed the Chargers over. The league hates the Chargers. The schedule is impossible. On and on and on. And listen, I totally understand it. On paper, I understand this is one of the toughest stretches in football. But let me say this. The Chargers, I truly believe, are capable of making a serious run at the AFC Championship and possibly even a Super Bowl run in Jim Harbaugh's 3rd year. And if we really believe that, if we really believe this roster is championship caliber, right, then understand this. In order to do something great, you have to go through greatness, right? You don't become battle tested by avoiding adversity. You don't become champions by playing weak teams every week. At some point, if you're truly built for January football, you got to walk through that fire. And honestly, I've seen this movie before. Since Patrick Mahomes became the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Outside of Tyreek Hill in his prime and Travis Kelce, they never really had all these overwhelming weapons that people act like they did, right? Matter of fact, during one of their Super Bowl years, they ranked 19th in total offense. 19th. And every single year, people kept saying, they can't keep winning like this. They're finally going to fall off. This is the year it catches up to them, right? Y'all remember that? But somehow they kept surviving. Why? Because when their offense struggled, their defense carried them. Remember how Chris Jones would make huge plays late in the fourth quarter? Their defense constantly came up with stops that changed games. There were games where the Chiefs looked dead in the water, right? And we remember that. And somehow they still walked off the field with the win. That's what championship teams do. They survive adversity. They adjust, they believe, and they figure it out. So yes, the Chargers' schedule is hard. Nobody's denying that. But if this team is really who we believe they are, then eventually they're going to have to beat great football teams anyway, right? And honestly, I don't care who the hell's on the schedule anymore. Because before the schedule came out, everybody was excited. After the draft, we were even more excited because now we could see what the vision was. We could see the team coming together, and it made us understand why they passed up on the big-name free agents at the guard positions and bring in guys that, even though didn't have the big names, they fit Mike McDaniel's system. Joe Ortiz and Jim Harbaugh are building something that feels connected from top to bottom. From ownership, front office, scouting department, coaching staff, players. Everybody finally feels aligned on what this team is supposed to be. And if you've been watching this podcast over the last couple of years, I kept saying the same thing over and over again. Under the first two seasons, we would get in the playoffs and win a game in the wild card round the first year. Then the second year, we will win in the division round. And then year 3 would be the deep playoff run in Super Bowl. Now, we didn't get those playoff wins like I thought we would. But circumstances that I could not see with Greg Roman being as bad with play calling and the offensive line totally depleted last season, they fell short. But this year, I think it's a complete team. I really, really do. Year 3 was always going to be the year this officially became Harbaugh and Joe Ortiz's football team. Their culture, their players, their philosophy, their identity. And I'm standing on that harder today than I ever had before. I truly believe this is the year the Chargers make their real Super Bowl run. And what makes me even more confident is the amount of people around this organization who had opportunities to leave, but they chose to stay. Mike Elston had opportunities on the table to become a defensive coordinator elsewhere. He stayed and was promoted to the defensive run game coordinator and defensive line coach. Steve Clinkscale, he interviewed for the Chargers defensive coordinator job. Now, Chris O'Leary got the position, but Clinkscale still stayed and accepted a promotion to defensive pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach because he believed in what they're building here. Assistant General Manager Chad Alexander had an opportunity with the Minnesota Vikings organization to become their general manager, but he turned it down after working under Joe Ortiz to stay with the Chargers in the same position. That tells me something. People inside this building believe they are very, very close. And then you look at David Njoku. Reportedly, both the Carolina Panthers and the Baltimore Ravens wanted this guy. But he chose to come to the Chargers because, in his own words, he believed in the structure of this team, he believed in the direction that they're going, and he felt he could come and take this offense to a different level. And that matters, right? People around the league sees what Jim Harbaugh and Joe Ortiz is doing. And honestly, I got to give Jim Harbaugh a lot of credit, too, because one thing Harbaugh showed me over the last 2 years is his humility. That Greg Roman offense, that downhill, smash mouth, run heavy style, that wasn't just Greg Roman's philosophy. That was Harbaugh's too. That old school 80s and 90s mentality, run downhill, play defense, control the trenches, win ugly, there's still value in that. Yes, it's true. But in today's NFL, we are in a passing league. It's why these quarterbacks get paid the big salaries. You need one of them studs too because unlike the 80s and the 90s, you got to be able to score points to win games too. You got to be more creative offensively, right? You got to be able to manufacture explosive plays. You got to be able to stretch defenses horizontally and vertically. And Harbaugh realized that. That's why I give him credit for bringing in Mike McDaniel and be willing to evolve offensively, right? This takes humility because Harbaugh understood something after those first 2 seasons. We can't win just like this anymore. Not in today's NFL. You still want to run downhill with Amari and Hampton. You still want to dominate physically. You still want to close games out by running the football down people's throats late in the fourth quarter and running that clock out. That's still a big part of the game too. That part ain't changing. But now, you're also going to see creativity, more motion, more screens, more runs, more explosive plays, more attacking downfield. You're going to see Mike McDaniel's offensive creativity blended together with Jim Harbaugh's physical identity. That combination excites the hell out of me because under Greg Roman, one thing we constantly saw in games was 2 completely different halves. The offense will look great in the first half and fizzle out in the second half. Or they do nothing early and then come on a little bit late. And that constantly put pressure on the defense. Too many field goals, too many stall drives, too much depending on the defense to save the game. We made games harder than they needed to be because we couldn't consistently score efficiently across 4 quarters. Harbaugh saw that. He recognized that. And more importantly, he was willing to change it. He's coached offenses like this all his life. That's leadership. And all them little intangibles, all those little nuances, all these decisions people overlook, those are the reasons why I'm so excited about what's getting ready to happen in 2026. This doesn't just feel like hope anymore. This feels like a franchise that finally knows exactly who it is and where it wants to go. And if they stay healthy, I truly believe this team has everything needed to make a deep playoff run and compete for a Super Bowl. So yes, the road is hard. I say good, because championship teams are supposed to survive difficult moments and adversities, right? And if the Chargers really are who we believe they are, then this season won't break them, it'll reveal them. Now hear me out. There's only been 2 teams in NFL history to play and win a Super Bowl in their home stadium. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers did it in 2021 when they defeated the Kansas City Chiefs at Raymond James Stadium. Then the very next year, the Los Angeles Rams did it in 2022 at SoFi Stadium against the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm predicting right now, there's about to be a 3rd team added to that list. And I believe that team is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers. I believe in 2027 inside SoFi Stadium, the Chargers are going to win the first Super Bowl championship in franchise history. And I'm claiming it. And in the famous words of the great Ric Flair, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And this year, I believe the Chargers are finally built to walk through the fire. I believe they're finally built to survive the pressure and take the crown. And when that confetti falls on the Chargers inside SoFi Stadium, oh, you can bet your bottom dollar I'll be there to witness every second of it. I'm going to be Rolex wearing, all year swearing, championship stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying son of a gun. Woo!